The story starts in a hospital in the 1850s. Rats are running across the floor, soldiers are dying in beds meant to save them, and here comes a woman. Florence Nightingale. She didn't know it yet, but history would later call her the greatest hero in modern medicine. But for 16 years, she refused to become her. Florence was born from a wealthy family in the 19th century in England, and from her very birth, her future was set. Get minimally educated, marry to a high-class husband, and live as a trad wife until the end of her days. In other words, be a good woman. The end. Or so we thought. You see, Florence knew something no one else did. This was the Crimean War, and soldiers were not dying from bullets. They were dying from the hospitals themselves. Infection, filth, rot. And as someone who dreamed of helping the wounded, she could see it clearly. That fixing sanitation alone would save thousands of lives. But how could she interfere? For a woman of her status, working in a hospital was considered improper, unfeminine, and disgraceful. Even her own mother shuts her down by stating, "You, working in a hospital? Might as well be a prostitute." And that's how she ended up being trapped in the only identity she was praised for, a moral, good woman. Today, psychology has a name for this, an effective truth. A belief that isn't actually true, but becomes real because you believe it is. I can't do anything about it. That's just how the system works. My family will be hurt. Yada yada yada. These were the truth that she was telling herself for 16 years. Until 1844, where something cracks. 2 weeks later, she does the unthinkable. She disobeys her mother. She walks away from comfort, from approval, and she enters a world full of blood, rot, incompetence, and resistance. Eventually, she not only revolutionized medical sanitation and data analysis standards, but she also single-handedly ended up saving millions of lives and permanently altered modern medicine as we know today. You see, I love the story quite a bit because it also begs the question of what are our own effective truths that we tell ourselves? What parts of our identities are we also unconsciously holding on to? Because this exact pattern shows up everywhere you go. Take Mike Tyson, for example, undisputed champion at 20 years old. But at that time, his effective truth was simple. I am only valuable when I'm feared. So when success removed that danger, he in some ways recreated that chaos through drugs, violence, and self-destruction. Not because he was weak, but because his identity couldn't survive peace. Or Heath Ledger, by far one of the most talented actors in his generation. But what I believe his effective truth was, I must go deeper to be great. So he didn't stop. He couldn't stop, even after his greatest role. Each one of them had a version of themselves that they could not let go. The good woman, the fighter, the perfect artist. And when reality threatened that identity, they chose sabotage over change. And until you see that, your unconscious identity will always decide your life before you get to. So here is the 3-step blueprint that I use to outsmart that identity. Step 1. Catch the pattern. Let me debunk a common lie. You don't try to fix your thoughts. Thoughts are noise. Instead, I track when they appear. So for 7 days, I noted down the emotion, the context, and the time. For example, when I feel anxiety, it usually arises at 7:30, and it arises when I ruminate on my failures. And when I feel fear, it's usually right before an opportunity. Step 2. Name the effective truth explicitly. This is the easy part that too many people are lazy to do. Turn the pattern into one sentence. Follow the simple formula. When I feel X, I assume Y. For example, when I feel tired, I assume my life is failing. When I feel rejected, I automatically assume that I am unlovable. This is powerful stuff. If you can name it clearly, it will stop running on autopilot. And step 3, act once against it. Choose one small action that violates the rule that you have made before. If you notice your mind is saying, I shouldn't speak up, send the message anyway. If your mind says, what's the point? I will fail anyway. Well, start the task for just 10 minutes. Remember this, one violation can weaken the loop and repeated violation can dismantle it. Bottom line is that your old self has a script. Outsmarting it is all about noticing the script, writing it down, and acting against it over and over again. But the truth is that it will do its hardest to not let you. Self-doubt is the #1 weapon it uses to keep you in a chain of eternal self-sabotage. So stay tuned for my next video on self-sabotage, but if you're watching this in the future, click here.